I will be the first to say that the Evo shields are really cool and I really want them to work. So let's talk about what they do well, what they do poorly, and what we can fix or what we can change in order to implement them properly in the game. The first thing that I like about the Evo shields is that they promote fighting and not hiding, because currently, dropping at the edge of the map and looting around the outskirts is a perfectly viable way to get to the top 3 or even win a game if you're going to try and get lucky in the final couple battles. But I don't really think that's in the spirit of the game. I also appreciate that they make snipers much more useful. Previously, I never would have recommended running around with a sniper rifle despite how fun I think they are, because they just don't get the job done. Almost all conflicts, in my experience, have been resolved at medium to close range, because that's the only way that you can effectively wipe out a squad without letting them recover their shields or pick up their teammates. But now with the Evo shields, you have an incentive to snipe and try and do some damage at a distance, despite the fact that you're not going to actually wipe out an enemy squad. The gamification and progression of the shields really makes the game much more engaging in my opinion, because it allows you to have something that you're connected with as opposed to running around and finding something good, but then throwing it away as soon as you find a better substitute. I now like the fact that you can have something that you feel attached with and that you really think that you need to upgrade as the game goes on. But unfortunately with the current build of the Evo shields, I think the cons outweigh the pros. It's undeniable that the Evo shields are almost always worse than their equivalents. A level 1 Evo shield is going to give you half the shields of a level 1 regular shield. A level 2 Evo shield is going to give you 25 points of shields less than a level 2 regular shield. Level 3 is the same, and level 4 of the Evo shields is a little bit higher. Now we could argue all day long about what the colors mean, but ultimately if you try and compare these apples to apples, a blue level Evo shield is worse than a blue level regular shield. You then run into the argument of the only reason to carry around an Evo shield all game is to try and get up to level 4, where you will have 125 points of shields as opposed to a regular level 3 shield, which gives you 100 points of shields. However, it's been my experience that in the final couple squads and at high enough levels, that extra 25 shields doesn't count for a lot. If you think about it, that extra 25 shields is just a couple shots with an R99. In the vast majority of confrontations, that's not the difference between life and death. You also run into the issue that keeping your Evo shield topped off requires a lot of cells. Even if you aren't getting into confrontations, every time you level up you have to refill that empty slot. Now if you drop into a hot zone, that leveling up really doesn't help you at all, because you're going to have to stop, back away, and refill your shield if you do happen to level it up. You don't really get any benefit from leveling it up in the middle of a firefight. Later on, if you do have the ability to snipe, you're still going to have to deal with the fact that you're consuming a lot of ammunition and cells to keep that Evo shield up, because even in those long-range confrontations, there's a good chance that you're going to be taking a few shots. I also don't think the Evo shields work particularly well when it comes to the spoils of war. Take this for instance. If you're battling an enemy over long distance, you're going to be able to get your Evo shields up potentially all the way to level 4. But what did that cost you? Probably a lot of ammunition, giving away your location, and a few shield cells or batteries. At the end of that, you have, at best, level 4 Evo shields, which is 125 points of shields. On the other hand, if you're able to engage them at close range and able to wipe them out, you have access to a lot more loot. You'll be able to get their shield cells, consumables, grenades, weapons, attachments, and yes, probably some shields too. And don't even get me started on the fact that your enemy's looted armor will be full when you put it on, so that saves you the trouble of having to use your own shield cells or batteries to get your Evo shields back to maximum. But I still think there's hope for the Evo shields. In fact, under no circumstances would I throw away the concept. So how can we fix them? Number 1, I think they need to be more prevalent. Right now, the fact that they are a little bit more rare than other armor types means that they feel special, but they're really not. Well, I guess they're special in that they're unique, but they're not especially good. If the drop rates on Evo shields become so high that they're almost the default, then the other shields could feel like upgrades or maybe throwaways that are non-rechargeable, and your Evos become the default. And by making the regular shields non-rechargeable, it would make picking up a shield from an enemy loot box a temporary situation, which feels totally different than picking up an Evo shield and having something that you feel like you can hold on to for the entirety of the game. That would be one way to solve the disparity in performance between the two shields. Or, as another possibility, imagine everyone had one when they dropped. Perhaps there are no shields on the map, just shield cells and batteries, and the only way to get good armor is to actually battle. That would place the utmost importance on being in battles and constantly fighting, which I think is the best way to play the game. Well, maybe not the best way for most people, but I think it's really in the spirit of the Battle Royale type of game. Now, this final suggestion will be difficult to implement, but I think it might be the most intriguing suggestion. And that is when you upgrade the Evo shields through damage, you actually get the shields as opposed to just getting an empty slot. I know what you're thinking. This is going to make firefights really frustrating if you're going to be taking a lot of damage. It could feel like your enemy is just constantly regaining shields and you can't possibly take them down. And that's a valid concern, so there would have to be further discussion about how to implement that properly. Maybe it would be good for some kind of arcade mode, maybe some kind of vampiric mode where it's like you're taking your enemy's health by damaging them. So that is my rant on the current Evo shields. Do you guys agree with my assessment, or do you think I'm totally off on some or all of these points? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what you guys think. But as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.